Welcome to the library. It's so great to see you all. Thank you so much for coming. For tonight's book talk, I'm very excited because we're going to be talking about nonfiction graphic novels. Graphic novels, if you don't know, are just stories told in a comic format. And so this allows for one story to be told graphically, and it's just a standalone book, so it's not in issues like a comic book would be. Sometimes there might be a series, like when you read a novel, there might be a book 2 or book 3, and sometimes there might be that, but this is all just one story in the book. And what is nonfiction? So nonfiction means not fake. So it means that it's about real people, real places, and real things that happened. So just to start, I have chosen some books and some different reasons why you might be interested in reading graphic novels. So the first one is They Called Us Enemy by George Takei. And I chose this book because you might want to read about a specific person or a specific event in history. So George Takei is very famous. He was in Star Trek, and he is very big in the science fiction world. So you might know him from that. And he lived through a period of time right when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and the government in America decided that the Japanese Americans needed to go into concentration camps. This is a very horrible period of time that not many people know about, and George Takei lived through that. So here he is telling his story as an adult, and throughout the book, he, in his words, tells of events that happened in the concentration camps and why they were sent there and all of those things. So this would be a very great story if you wanted to learn more about George Takei, or if you wanted to learn more about the Japanese internment camps. The next book I want to talk to you about is called Diary of a Tokyo Teen. A Japanese American girl travels to the land of trendy fashion, high-tech toilets, and maid cafes by Christine Mary Inser. So this is a very fun book. It travels through Tokyo while Christine is visiting her family there. So she is an American. She's half American, half Japanese. So she was born in Japan, lived there till she was 6, and then moved to America, where her father is from. And then she goes back to visit her mom's family and teaches us about the culture of Japan, the fashions in Japan, the food. Now this looks delicious. The food in Japan, and some of the customs of Japan. So it's great look through someone else's eyes into what Japan's like. And that's a great reason you might want to pick this book up, is because you'll be able to see what Japan is like through someone's eyes. So there's that one. And then the next reason you might want to pick up a nonfiction graphic novel is because maybe you're more of a visual learner. So sometimes people have a hard time with just reading a book and being able to visualize. Well, some books help you out with that. So this is The Unwanted, Story of Syrian Refugees, written and illustrated by Don Brown. And in his book, he has, just stories like the others as well, but he also includes maps and some charts, so that these might help you to visualize what you're reading about a little bit easier. This book covers, why Syrians are refugees and what's happening and how they're finding places to live throughout the world. It is a very heartbreaking story, but it's very interesting, especially if you've been hearing a lot about Syrian refugees and you want to know more. So another great reason is if you're more of a visual learner and you want to see those images to help you know what's going on. The next reason to read a nonfiction graphic novel is depicted really well in The Life of Frederick Douglass by David F. Walker, Damian Smith, and Marissa Louise. So in this book, sometimes when you're reading, it can be hard to remember who all the people are in the story and what they're all doing. And so in this book, what's really great is that they have images of everyone and how they're all related and or what they all do. And this can be really great throughout the story. If you get a little confused, get lost in what's happening, you can go back to the front of the book and see what the people look like. And it also says their relation to Frederick Douglass. So Frederick Douglass was a slave, and he actually escaped slavery, became free, and then he ended up speaking and becoming one of the best abolitionists, who are people who are trying to free slaves that there was in America. And so his story is incredibly inspiring. He is a great man, and his story is just incredible. So this book also helps you to read more about the relevant topics. So it's not always, it is mostly comics, but at certain points in the story where you might be able to get a little bit more context, like this section is a brief history of the Civil War. So in this section, you could skip it if this part doesn't appeal to you, but it does give you more context for what's going on in the story. So this is just an example of when you might get lost in a normal novel or book and you need those visuals to help you out and to figure out what's going on and who's who in a story. The next reason you might want to read a nonfiction graphic novel is because you want a book that will cover a large span of time, or you want a book that's going to teach you everything about a subject so that you can kind of get an overview and then figure out what you want to maybe learn about more, or maybe that's all you wanted was just an overview. So this book, Amazon's Abolitionists and Activists, A Graphic History of Women's Rights Fights for Their Rights, is a great example of this, and this is by Mickey Kendall and A. DeMacco. And this book covers women's history from antiquity, which is Greek and ancient Greek and Roman, and it has some fun time travel in there. So it goes from antiquity through just examples of different queens and rulers and what they did and how they advanced women in their cultures. Then it goes to slavery and suffrage. And suffrage is women's fight for being able to vote and being able to take a better place in their government. So it covers like who's important in that time period and in those causes. And then it goes to feminism today and, you know, women in the workplace and how women are making a difference in the world and changing things for other women. And so this is a great book. It obviously doesn't cover everything about women in history. That would be almost impossible, but it does give you a great overview and some amazing people that you may, and I know I hadn't heard of all of them, but it gives you a great overview. And I was able to pick out a couple people in this that I was really interested in, and now I'm learning more about those individual people. So this is a great example of why you might pick up a nonfiction graphic novel to expand your knowledge about one subject. So I just want to share these books with you and let you know that they're all available here at the library. Nonfiction graphic novels are absolutely incredible way to learn and to read and to just enjoy yourself, because it's not all about, I definitely enjoyed myself while reading these books. It wasn't all about, you know, just sitting down and studying. It was fun. The pictures were beautiful, and it was a really great narrative that I read in these books. So I just want to thank you so much for joining me today and for coming in. If you have any questions, we'll be ready for you. Just come on up and talk to us. If you want to take any of these books out of the library, just let me know. I'd be happy to help you with that. If you want to get on a waiting list for them, if they get taken out, that's great too. So thank you so much for coming in today, and I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope we get to help you pick out some graphic novels that are going to be great for you in the future. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a great night.